Welcome to day 3 video. We are going to continue with transformations in this video. We're going to focus more on vertical and horizontal stretches and compressions today. So it's really not too bad if you kind of think of it like slope. So with stretches, we have kind of getting skinnier, or a compression kind of getting more flattened, if that kind of makes sense. So we have vertical stretch or compression by a factor of A, kind of going that direction. And then we've got inside horizontal stretches and compressions kind of flattening there, would look something like that. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at some examples, and that will hopefully help make things a lot easier. So for this first one, we have a vertical stretch of 2. So let's first just go ahead and write our vertex, our starting point. Nothing on the inside, so 0. Nothing on the outside behind, so 0. So we're going to start at 0, 0. Before we start on these first two, though, let's go ahead and draw our parent functions so we can kind of see what's taking place too, how that's changing. So remember, our parent function starts at 0, 0 and has that slope of 1 in the right direction and has that slope of -1 in the left direction. So going kind of there. Now let's start at 0, 0. There we go. And we have the vertical stretch by a factor of 2. Is our transformation that we know that's taking place here. And we are going to basically go up twice as much as we normally would. So if we're going over 1, up 1 for the normal, we're going to go over 1, up 2 for our new line. So if we went over 2, up 2, which is where this dot is, then we would go over 2, up 4. And you can kind of see that this is just a slope of 2 from our starting point here. So we went up 2, over 1, up 2, over 1. So you can kind of continue that up 2 over 1 slope if that helps you. Twice as much we're going up as we normally would. So in this direction, it's going to be the same thing. Over 1 up 2, over 1 up 2 in the left direction. And there is our vertical stretch. So now we have domain is -infinity to infinity, left and right. And then our lowest point here is 0. And our highest point goes on forever to infinity. Let's try another one. So this one, nothing on the inside, 0, nothing behind it, 0. We have a 1/2, which would be a vertical compression by a half since it's out front and it's less than 1. Starting at 0, 0, we're going to go up half as much. So instead of going up to 1, we're going to just go up a half. Instead of over 2, up 2, we're going to go over 2, up 1. So if you want to think of it like this as your slope, that would work for these type. So up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2. That will work for these since the slope is already 1, just going up at that rate. Up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2. But when it comes to our other functions, we are going to have to look, like with quadratics, at what that would be, since they're going to be a little bit different. But for now, you can kind of think of that as your slope. But really, we're just going to go up half as much as we normally would. So we've got a same domain here of left and right going on forever, up and down starting at 0, going on forever. So there's our range. All right, let's flip to page 26. This is just the general form of what you're going to see. You're going to see a box, and we are going to be labeling parts. So in front here, basically think of this is A, this is B, this is H, this is K. And you kind of have it down here as well in that form. So you can see, helps to have it written there. So A, the number is 1. It is positive. That's just your sign for the first one. Is it positive or negative? A is 1. B, is B positive or negative? Well, in this case, it's positive, and it's 1. And H over here is 0, and K is 0. So what do those things mean? Well, the first thing is a vertical reflection. If it's negative, right? So in this case, there is no reflection because it's positive. Here, this would be a vertical stretch or compression because of that number out front. In this case, it's 1, so no vertical stretch or compression. B is positive. That is a horizontal reflection. Again, anytime it's making something negative, it would become a reflection. But B, it's on the inside, so that's when it would become a horizontal reflection. B is on the inside here, so that would be a horizontal stretch or compression. We don't have any for this one, though, since it's 1. And then we have H. That's going to move it left or right when it's on the inside. And K, up or down. All right. So get that copied down. Make sure you've got that all filled in to help guide you. We're going to do 1 and 2 together. And then I'll have you try 3 and 4. And then we're going to repeat the same thing for that last section. 1 and 2 together. You try 3 and 4. All right. So for the first one, let's just go ahead and start with our vertex. Remember, we do the opposite on the inside. Keep the outside. There's our starting point. So let's start by putting a dot at 2, 6. Is this going to be a right side up or upside down? Well, we look in the front, or we look in for any negatives. Yes, so it's going to be upside down since that negative is out front. Is there any change in any slope? Nope. We just have moving it right and up. So we're going to continue the same slope of 1 and negative 1 upside down because of that negative. And you can answer your questions below before you do this if that helps you. We'll go ahead and do that on the second one. Otherwise, you can graph it and then answer your questions using your graph if that is the way you want to do it. So now we look to see, well, A, it was negative, and it was just 1, so there was no change. If you want to just cross that out, you can. That's fine too. B was positive, so there was no change there. B, there was no B. So, I mean, if you want to put a 1 or cross it out, that's fine too. So basically, these things, nothing was happening in those. And then the last two, H is 2 and K was 6. So our only changes here are a vertical reflection, which you can see from the graph up here, and it moved right 2, which you can see up above, and it also moved up 6. So again, you can graph it and then fill in your box, or you can fill in your box and then graph it, your choice. Let's go ahead and fill in our box first and then graph it on this one. Starting point opposite of a +3 would be a -3, and then a -7, that stays the same. Okay. You can also write it in vertex form. So like up here, we have the 2, then we have the 1, x plus 3 to help you kind of see that this is the B. We have the -7 then in that case. Or you could just put B because there is no B. That's fine too. So filling out down here, it's positive, so nothing's happening. We have a 2. We have, again, a B. It's positive, so nothing's happening with B. B was just 1. There was no B. And H, we have -3. And K, we can get this from our vertex, -7. So now we know this is a vertical. And again, you can go back up to your top box here to help you. It's either a vertical stretch or compression. And in this case, big number would make it a stretch by 2. And then we have moving it left 3 and down 7. So we know we're going to be going left 3, starting at -3, 7. If I could get there. And we are going to be stretching, oops, -3, -7, my bad. -3, -7. Might help if you start on the right vertex point. And then we're going to be going with up to over 1. Up to over 1. And drawing our V. There it is. Vertical stretch by 2, left 3, down 7. All right, go ahead and try 3 and 4 on your own, filling out the tables and graphing. If you want to write it out in vertex form first, that kind of helps you fill in your A's, B's, maybe putting H's and K's above or below. Go ahead and do that, whatever it is you need to do, but pause, try it, and check when you're ready. All right, go ahead and check your answers and your graphs. Make sure everything looks correct. Make sure your slope here is basically going down and it's 5/1. And over here, it's basically a slope of 1 up 1/4 for that. And make sure that your vertex is correct, that you started at the correct point. Pause if you need a little more time to check those answers. We're going to finish up doing 2 and 3 together. And then going to have you finish up doing 3 and 4. So now we're kind of going the other direction here. We already got it graphed. So we're going to answer the question of what is this vertex? Well, it's at 4, -3. Was it upside down? No. So A is positive. And what is basically the slope of this? Looks like it's up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. So that is basically 1. A was not changing. So now let's put it in to our function form. So we have absolute value. Do we have any negatives out front? No. Do we have any numbers out front? No, we don't really need to put the 1. So inside we just have an x. Do we put a 4 or a -4? Hopefully you're thinking -4, opposite thinking when we put it back in or when we take it out. Then a -3, it stays the way that it is back behind. So remember, this is your H, this is your K, and H and K. H goes on the inside, K goes on the outside. So that's what we should have written for number 1. Let's do another one. Here, our vertex, it looks like we're at -5, for our starting vertex point, bottom of the V. We are upside down, so it's negative. Let's check our slope. We are over 1, down 2. Over 1, down 2. So that is a 1/2. A 1 over a 2. A rise of 1, in a sense. I mean, even though we're going down. And then no, sorry, backwards. It's a rise of 2 and a run of 1. So 2, rising 2, running 1. It's hard when it goes the other way. All right, so now let's fill that in. The negative goes out front because it's A, and with that, the A, the actual number A, goes with that. Absolute value then, and we have an x, opposite thinking, so not a -5, but a +5 when it goes back in. Do we need to put the 0? No. So go ahead, try those last 2 on your own, going a different direction, pause, and check your answer when you're ready. All right, go ahead and check 3 and 4, see how you did, and then make sure at the bottom of the page to put any questions that you have or things that you're still struggling with this lesson down at the bottom to make sure you ask that in class. See you later.